Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
Brewers, it's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, Cretans.
Well, and Steve, you're going to have to come up with your own greeting for these things.
Oh, do I get to do one?
You get to do one.
Oh, I thought I was, I'm ancillary to the show.
No, I thought about it on the drive down. I was like, oh, no, Steve should have his own little.
Okay.
Well, you are ancillary to the show, but,
I'll just start with yo, and then we'll just kind of figure it out from there.
Just build from that. That's good.
I know it took Palmer for, a year?
He came up with greetings, Cretans early on. It was like his first or second shot at it. He went yard, hit it out of the park.
All right.
But
I'm already up to yep. See, I've got 2 letters to 3 letters.
There you go.
It'll grow. It'll only get bigger.
See, this is almost like
yop.
deja vu all over again. So here we are in the studio, back again.
It's been a while.
Yeah, at least 15 minutes. No, we're having a great time. We're cracking open the cousin, getting our drink on.
The liquid cousin.
We are?
Yes.
You guys have
Evil
very
cousin.
nice heretic pint glasses full of beer.
And heretic toasters.
You were busy. I didn't want to
have a bunch of
distract you.
problems. That's weird.
Yeah.
I was able to sample that delicious brew at Eagle Rock Brewery here in Eagle Rock, Southern California.
No, you sent me a text that was less than glowing, I think.
Well, as your best friend, I don't want to pump you up too bad.
What did he say? What were the exact?
It was like I don't know. It was something. I don't think it's Palmer's style of beer.
It's a bit danker than I like. I mean,
did it have an
I guess
umbrella in it?
you didn't brew it for me, did you?
No, I did
brewed
not.
it for
everybody
heretics.
else.
Yeah. So screw me. I mean, what do I have there? But
That's right.
When I was down at Eagle Rock having a couple of beers, I mean, they were pouring that. They were pouring the Taffel Bully, and people were really digging it.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
Good on you, mate.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah.
We're just enjoying ourselves and doing what sounds fun.
Yeah.
And trying to make some money at it. And that's one of the tricky things, I think, to doing a brewery. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do 3 episodes of the Going Pro show. Brew Strong Going Pro. We did one episode, what was it, 6 months ago?
This is May.
Back in May. And the response from it was real positive. Everybody, not everybody, but the majority of people just were like, great, can't wait for the next episode. And, well, you had to wait because, Steve and I and Palmer, we're all just incredibly busy. So we haven't had a chance to get back to doing the pro shows, and we want to make sure Steve was in the studio. So now we're going to go ahead and knock 3 of those out, and then we'll go back. We'll do some homebrew topics, and then we'll do some Q&A, and then we'll go do some more pro shows. But hopefully we're satisfying everybody's itch for beer information. And speaking about satisfying itches, my friend John Plickman, he'll satisfy your itch for fine stainless steel equipment. That's for sure.
Nothing like stainless steel itch scratchers.
Yeah, that's what he should make. Back scratchers,
right?
made out of stainless.
I got cut on stainless yesterday on my thumb, and it's hurting like a bitch.
Oh, one of my here's a tip for you all who go into pro brewing. You need a tube of some bactericidal ointment, like a Neosporin or Bepanthen. I like the Bepanthen. You can't get it in this country really, but
Okay.
It's fantastic. You get it in Germany, you get it in you can get it in New Zealand really easy, Australia. So when I go over, I stock up that and like a big ass box of Band-Aids, because otherwise every little cut gets infected.
Yeah, I got
Especially,
a stainless splinter. I
Yeah.
should say. So it just
Those are the worst. Yeah.
Every time
it's in
you
my
touch
thumb.
it, it's just
still,
like
it's still in there.
lightning goes down your bunghole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Back to Blickman, and Blickman Engineering. They actually pay a good chunk to bring this show to you for free. So if you enjoy the show and like the information that we bring and the incredible level of quality humor that you find in the show, go to BlickmanEngineering.com. That's Blickman with 2 N's. And check out their goods there, and tell them how much you appreciate their sponsoring the show. They actually, I believe, are now selling some nano brewery size equipment. If you're looking to brew like a pro, you get yourself some Blickman a top tier system. It's you'll have every advantage right there. And then if you want to go into nano brewing, then they sell the 1-barrel systems, I believe.
Yeah, they do. It's pretty nice looking setup.
Well, and I wanted to get a couple of guys that are using the Blickman nano equipment.
Oh, that'd be a good idea. Yeah.
They've gone pro with it, and I wanted to kind of get a rundown of how they're doing it, how it works for them, and all that. I'd be curious. I think it's I've got my positives and negatives about doing nano brewing. I think there's some real drawbacks. I think there's some real positives. I think it depends on the situation. For me, it wouldn't work. For Steve, wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work.
But for some situations, I think it would, and it'd be nice to hear from somebody who does find that's something that'll work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do that on a future show. Today we want to talk about the types of breweries, how you decide on what kind of brewery you're going to open, whether it be, a nano, a micro, a brew pub, packaging brewery, a tasting room,
Alternating proprietorship.
Alternating or contract, or however you're going to do this. So, Steve, how did you kind of come to decide that you're going to open a brew pub? Why was a brew pub and not a packaging brewery or something else?
For me, it was because of geography. I'm in a high retail location on a main street in an area that's being gentrified. So it's a retail storefront that we've converted into a brewery. So it's a brew pub in that situation. To me, a brew pub, a brew pub is a brewery with a restaurant component to it. So we have the restaurant and the brewery that we're putting together, which is the brew pub. If it were just a production brewery, that's more industrial space, and that sort of space doesn't exist in this area. The
difference being you're in an area that the square footage that you are leasing or buying is going to cost you more.
Yes, much
because it costs
3 to 4
more,
times more. Right.
You have to have some way of taking advantage of that, and that's the location thing, where people are going for dining and beers after or before a movie or whatever it might be.
Right.
So you have to provide a component to monetize that.
Yep.
If you're out in some industrial park, you don't worry about people wandering by and coming in for dinner. You and that's why you get the property much cheaper.
Right. And you can then have larger brew houses as well. We're a 10-barrel brew house, and we're busting at the seams with 10 barrels.
You're locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, that's a good size for that kind of location, because a lot of people would probably start with like a 7-barrel.
I actually started to go with a 7-barrel, but when you look at the cost difference between the 7-barrel and the 10-barrel, it's negligible. And you're in the return to go with that initial outlay, you can return that money in your first year.
Right.
I think the cost difference between 7-barrel and 10-barrel was $25,000 when you're dealing with a 7-barrel was. I bought a package through a company. I don't know if we'll say names or not, but it was Premier Stainless, and the 7-barrel package was $125,000, and the 10-barrel package was $160,000, and then I put some other toys on top of that. But once you're at $120,000, 150 or 160 is not that much more.
Right.
Yeah, in terms of loan, and as you say, the extra beer you can make each time, and it helps you pay off the system that much faster.
Yeah,
Right.
I think we're all in agreement. You get the biggest brewery you can,
And then
from the start. Yeah, more than you ever think you would need. That's the size to get. Well, and so you've done a brew pub. What I have is a packaging brewery. John, you want to kind of explain for everybody what the difference is between a brew pub and a packaging brewery? What, or even just what's a packaging brewery?
Shh, like I know. No, the purpose of a packaging brewery is you're not really serving the beer on location. You're putting it in kegs, you're putting it in bottles, and you're selling it in the package, rather than focusing on serving it in house, or serving it, or having a brewery and tasting room. Your main focus is packaging and then distributing those kegs to local retailers.
Now, when I tell people I have a packaging brewery, a lot of times they'll say to me, what, you have a microbrewery? Now, what do they mean by microbrewery?
I think they're referring to the size of your package.
What you
I
don't
get
know about my friend John Palmer. Yeah, okay. Very good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So microbrewery, it's all about scale. You got your nano, your pico. I think pico's lower than nano. And
What's
micro.
that, Mr. Beer Kit?
Yeah, there you go.
Uh-huh.
And then from a microbrewery, you go up to a small brewery, then a medium-sized brewery, and I don't know.
Well, they qualify like regional brewery is 15,000 barrels. So microbrewery is any a lot of the craft breweries, I guess. I think people just don't know that there's a difference. There's an actual packaging brewery. What qualifies as a nano brewery, John?
I believe it's
in your mind. What qualifies as a nano brewery?
There you go.
Let me make it easier for you.
You're talking about like a 10, 15, 20, 50 gallon system. I mean, it's something that's measured
somewhere around a barrel or
barrels.
Okay.
Yeah. I would think.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times I hear, 1 barrel, half barrel, barrel and a half. I think all those seem to be called nanos. What's the size up from that, Steve? You'd say what's the 3-barrel ones?
Mini micro is a term I've heard tossed around.
Mini micro.
Mini micro is a 3-barrel to 5-barrel. Apparently, 5 barrels are really hard to come by, but they do exist.
Really?
in
Yeah,
some locations.
I think that would be a really odd size. The 1 barrel. Again, Blickman Engineering has something like that. Interesting size for that. So, okay, we have brew pubs, we have packaging breweries, nanos, micros. Let's do this. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, let's go into
some of the reasons for different sizes.
That, and then also alternating proprietorships and contract brewing. Back after this.
When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. the Auto Sparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry, and much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmaster's Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmaster's database if you want, and the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then bam, click Buy Recipe, and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmaster's Warehouse is run the way a home brewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmaster's Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
On Sunday, October 23rd, the last great Northern California beer event of the season will be at Downtown Joe's. The Brewing Network presents A Taste of North Bay Beers. And by a taste, we're talking 10 6-ounce pours. Breweries like Napa Smith, Moylan's, Moonlight, Blue Frog, Russian River, Heretic, Drake's, Lagunitas, Iron Springs, 3rd Street, Ale Industries, Marin Brewing, and more. All day, starting at 12:30 p.m. until 11 o'clock at night, and featuring live music from world-renowned Ralph Woodson and Purple Haze. If that's not enough, the home-brewed chef himself, Sean Paxton, will feed 50 select few a private beer dinner at 7 p.m. that will insert Napa herself into your mouth forever. Tickets for the festival and dinner are available in limited quantity at downtownjoes.eventbrite.com. Order now and don't miss A Taste of North Bay Beers, also stream live on October 23rd at thebrewingnetwork.com.
A heretic is anyone who does not conform to an established attitude, doctrine, or principle.
If you love craft beer, you're already a heretic.
The very first thing we did when we started looking at the beers that we would brew, we got rid of all those recipes. We started from scratch. We've been pilot brewing the most creative things that we could think of and the most interesting things. We've completely gone away from style.
Heretic Brewing Company is opening this spring in Pittsburgh, California, and you can be a part of it. Visit hereticbrewing.com and facebook.com/hereticbrew. Get the latest updates on the brewery and upcoming beers. Show everyone how you celebrate great beer as a heretic.
It's a fairly powerful word. Being a heretic, that means you're not settling for ordinary beer. You are going with flavorful, creative, bold, interesting beers. A heretic is looking for the best beers out there.
Be a heretic. Don't drink ordinary beer.
Things are getting sticky this month at More Beer. All month long, they are featuring their brand new mead kits, and they're hooking you up with an awesome freebie. Their new kits showcase famous Tupelo honey and orange blossom honey from California orange groves. Mead or Melomel, 8 all-new kits, as well as honey by the pound, are on sale all month long. Tupelo has long been considered the gold standard of honey, prized for its rich, fruity flavor and non-granulating characteristics. More Beer's unblended Tupelo honey has fruit flavors, intense cedarwood, and a spicy incense quality. More Beer orange blossom honey should be used for your very best creations. It comes directly from orchards in the California Central Valley and has the unmistakable floral aroma of orange blossoms. By far, one of the favorite honeys for mead. And don't miss More Beer's free, comprehensive mead-making guide from Sunday session guest Shay Comfort. Dive into yeast nutrition and pH for mead that can ferment in weeks instead of months. For free! Dry or sweet, mead or Melomel, your best bet for an autumn beverage is at your homebrew superstore, More Beer.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right. Let's quickly go over Well, yeah, I think we have to kind of get into the contract brewing and the alternating proprietorship. So contract brewing, that's where you can go to an existing brewery and pay them to produce a beer for you. A lot of times they'll say, okay, what recipe do you want? Sometimes places that are having beers contract brewed, they go, we need something brown, or we need something, we want something amber, because our customers like amber, sell us an amber, and they just make whatever for them. Or, you take them your recipe, and, it can go all the way up to, you take them your recipe, maybe you're supplying some of the ingredients that they don't normally get, and maybe you're there on brew day, doing some of the work.
But you're not brewing.
But you're not technically brewing. It's all under their license. They are the brewer producer. They actually file pricing, I believe, and they sell the beer to you when they're done. And then there's and you need very little licensing for contract brewing. Alternating proprietorship, you're essentially your own brewery. You need all the same licensing that you need if you're opening a brewery all by yourself. The only difference is you are leasing time from another brewery to use some of their equipment. You can use as much or as little of their equipment as your agreement states. You just need to keep everything separate as far as ingredients. You cannot share ingredients. You can't share distribution. You can't share a lot of stuff. They want you to be strictly separated.
You can't share distribution?
Well, maybe you could. If you signed up with a distributor together, separately with the same distributor, that's fine. But I don't think you can throw your beer on their truck and they're collecting money for you and dropping off kegs and things like that. I'm pretty sure that would not fly.
That makes sense.
They want you to be an entirely separate entity. So the host brewery needs all their packets and all their licensing for being a brewery. You need all yours separately from them. And then you need a series of documents that outline the agreement. You need a couple of forms that you send into the TTB that explain that you're going to alternate. You actually are changing ownership of the building from one party to the other for legal purposes every time you brew. So,
do you have to specify, I get Mondays, Wednesdays, and every other Sunday from
they
time
want
to time?
Yeah, they want a way of you have to have something outlined for that. It's not that strict, but that would work. You have to have some way of saying, okay, we're going to take over at a certain time, and then it's our brewery, and they'll take over and it's their brewery. You can actually file these forms every time you brew. Or they have kind of all right, every time we're ready to brew, we're alternating, and we'll keep paperwork that states, when we brewed and all that stuff. So,
can you share fermentation tanks, or as the government calls it, tax determination vessels?
You can't share them.
You have to have individually. You have to have your own.
Well, and you don't necessarily tax. You see when you're doing a brew pub, you have tax determination vessels because you are serving from those vessels. You transfer to a bright tank, and you start. If you start serving off of a tank, mm-hmm. you have to pay tax on that entire tank at mm-hmm. that time.
Right.
Right. In our case, we don't serve off of any of our tanks. We actually transfer into packages, kegs, bottles, whatever. And it's only when that keg or bottle or whatever gets consumed or gets removed from the brewery for consumption or other purposes that it gets taxed. So we don't have to pay tax on the entire tank at that time. It'd actually be a lot easier if we could. And a lot of breweries do that, but we get taxed off of what's in the packages. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so we're getting a little distracted here. That's alternating proprietorship. I look at, opening your own brewery. That's like, you go and you buy a car, and maybe you get a loan for it. Maybe you pay cash for it, whatever. But you need your own driver's license. You need your own insurance. You need to do all the paperwork and all that, and you drive the car off, and it's all your responsibility from then on out. You own this car, and you need to take care of it and do all the maintenance and everything, right? The alternating proprietorship, it's kind of like leasing a car. You still need your own driver's license, still need your own insurance, you still need to maintain the car, you still need to do a lot of that stuff. But there's kind of an ownership thing with the dealership where you got it from. And at some point they're going to want that back or whatever, but you still need all the same licensing as if you just bought the car. Contract brewing is more like, taking a cab. You get in, they drive you somewhere, and, there you go. You pay them money, and you've gotten to your location or, close to your location. You don't really get to say exactly how you get to the location, what route you take, how fast you drive, avoid that pothole, whatever. No. They get you to the location, you owe them the money. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the difference between alternating, contract, and
There's one more caveat to alternating as well, isn't there? That you have a limited amount of time that you can lease that vehicle, as you're putting it. Your lease is up after.
Well, that's true. That's true. There's no formal limit on what that time period might be. So the TTB, the federal government, wants to see a business plan. If you're going to do an alternating proprietorship, they want to see a business plan that includes, steps for you to get your own brewery building and move out of your alternating proprietorship. So that might be in a year, might be in 3 years, might be in 5 years, whatever it might be. And on ours, we kept it kind of vague. It's like, in 3 years we'll be, we're 2 years we're, finding a building. And year 3 we're doing plans and getting equipment, and in year 4 it's set up and running or something like that. It was all just wild conjecture on my part.
Will they hold you to that?
No, I don't think they do. They just want to see that you're this isn't your plan forever. What they're trying to avoid also with on the alternating proprietorships is that once you get past 60,000 barrels, you start paying a different level of tax on your beer.
Right.
And they want to make sure that somebody who's coming up on 60,000 barrels doesn't just all of a sudden say, let's form another business entity. We'll, just say it's out of the same building and alternating proprietorship, and then, hey, we can go to 120 before we have to start paying that tax. So that's one of the things they're concerned about. So you need to make sure that, you're completely separate, everything's all maintained separate, and that's one of the things that they require. All right, so how do you pick? John, you were starting to say before the break, how would we go about picking which kind of brewery situation is best for you?
Yoo-hoo.
All right. Well, Steve, how do you go about picking what situation is best for you?
I think John might be there now. Is he or no?
No, he said his Skype went down.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually taking a drink at that time. What'd you say? Then how do you go about doing what?
Steve can only focus on one thing.
Am I the only one here in the studio doing what I want?
I heard you're throwing it to John. I'm sorry.
Now I'm throwing it on you, so I don't have to just answer the question myself. How do you go about, deciding what would be, the best type of brewery for you to open? I mean, how we talked about how you decided on a brew pub, but
right.
That was kind of situational, right? You didn't go saying I want to open a brew pub. You went to you said this would be a great location for something beer related, and then it's like, well, it's going to have to be a brew pub. I mean, you could have.
I think I would have actually preferred to have gone into a production brewery, but because of the geographical location I was in, it became a brew pub, and I don't really know that I have the answer for exactly what your question is. I think it depends on what you want to do and what your abilities are,
right?
And your cash flow or your ability to. If you want a production brewery and you don't want a loan, you need a fat amount of money to get that. So it depends on I think it all comes down to your abilities, and that's why I think the nano craze is so popular right now.
Right.
Is because you can get into that relatively cheap, especially if you're doing less than a barrel.
Mm-hmm.
But your labor costs and everything
Are ridiculous. Yeah.
at that point, and I don't think that nanos are a good business plan myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I myself wouldn't look at a nano. Production brewery, you wouldn't want to go less than 15 barrels. It doesn't make sense, again, monetarily to do a production brewery for less than 15 barrels.
Yeah, a lot of ones are opening now. They'll do 20.
Right.
And I think I'm like, we should have started at 50. I don't see why we did 30.
The numbers I've seen and the math that I've seen says that below 15 barrels, you're spinning your wheels, and you may as well just be buying beer and reselling it at that point.
Well, and to put in terms what you can do with a 30-barrel brewery, Firestone Walker right now, that's a 30-barrel brewery.
Yeah.
With a 30-barrel brew house with lots of tanks, they run that thing nonstop, and they've optimized to get as many brew cycles as they can out of that equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what they're doing is they're adding another 30-barrel brewery kind of in parallel, so they don't have to change recipes or anything like that. Someone like Lagunitas, they change the brew house each time. And when you do that, you have to, there's a learning curve and messing around with, your recipes, and just things change every time. If you've ever changed your homebrew equipment, I tell you, it's just, a nightmare every time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that you want to start big enough that'll, suffice for a long period of time.
I think the simple answer to your original question, though, is pocketbook. Do you have cab fare? Can you lease the car? Can you buy the car?
Right. That's a good point.
I think that's what it came down
to
for me.
Or like thumbing a ride.
Right. Yeah.
Or if you're renting a car, are you doing Hertz? You doing budget? You enterprise? You doing rent-a-wreck? Right. Well, all right. So, if it's money, then people would, probably everybody would start nano. They just take their homebrew equipment and start, cranking out beer and selling that.
Mm-hmm.
And the drawback to that is, well, at some point, if you want to actually make money at it, you got to get bigger.
Right.
Because there's a certain minimum. I was mentioning this to my wife last night. I said, no brewery is profitable from the beginning.
Right.
You have to make a certain amount of beer in order to become profitable. Now, the amount of beer that you need to make is going to vary depending on the type of brewery that you do. Like if you're doing a brew pub, you're retailing your pints.
Right.
You're making a lot more off of those. You get the food aspect, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have a higher rent.
Yeah, and you have to size to your location because you have square footage you have to deal with. You obviously want the biggest bang for your buck that you can get, but you don't want to overproduce beer,
right?
But you definitely don't want to underproduce beer because that would be worse.
Mm-hmm.
And your square footage determines the number of fermentation vessels that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
I know the package that I bought came with 4 fermenters. I ended up buying one more 20-barrel, and a few more serving tanks as well. But in a brew pub situation, you have to think about your fermentation schedule. I'm 10 barrel, but I max out at 1,400 barrels a year. I can only brew. Say I assume I'm doing a 14-day fermentation schedule. I can brew Monday, Wednesday, and my tanks are full. Then I have to then go again. So 10 barrels at a time. I think. Yeah, I can do 1,000 barrels a year at that rate. I've added some tanks on to go beyond that because 1,000 barrels for me is profitable. But you want to make sure that you calculate the number of seats that you have, divided by the. I wrote it all down in chicken scratch on the plane up here.
Right. So how do you decide how big a place you need, how many seats you need, or do you go with the place that works for you and based on the number of seats in there, size your brewery to that, or do you look at? I guess it's a multiple input equation where you're looking at your overall costs versus the number of seats available, how much you can sell beer for, how much beer you can produce, and
there are numbers
all those
out
need
there
to kind of come together, right?
Yeah, there are numbers out there that the Brewers Association, a fantastic resource for becoming a brewery. I highly recommend that everybody join the BA when as early as you can. You don't even have to. You can get an individual membership as an individual while you're starting out, which gives you access to their forums and to all the data that they have that you're then able to utilize, because they have geographical and all sorts of data that you can use to determine what might work for your area. They say that as a guideline that you can assume that you'll have between 5 to 10 barrels of beer per seat per year. And being that I'm going into a beer wasteland of a territory, I'm obviously calculating low. So I'm assuming that one seat in my pub will consume 5 barrels of beer per year. And then I multiply that out. I have 104 seats, so that gives me 520 barrels per year on an assumption that I should be able to sell every year. So I obviously need to have the ability to sell 520 barrels. Now, if I'm trying to do that as a nano brewery, if I'm making 2 barrels at a time, it's impossible. It's a mathematical impossibility. So you need to figure out your seats, what you think your market can sell or consume, and then run those numbers up. Divide that by the number of vessels that you have and your fermentation schedule that you have, so that you're always able to have beer in the process, so that you can actually meet that 520 barrel demand. Right. So you need to make sure you have enough tanks for that. And there are calculations. And, I guess, I don't know. I'll be better prepared next time.
I don't think there's going to be a next time.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was in this step myself back in November, and I had all those numbers, and I've since don't have them anymore.
There we go.
Because that was
all
11 months ago.
Well, on that disappointing note, why don't we take another break? And when we come back, I will tell you something you don't know about my good friend John Palmer after this.
BN Army, HopTech has a great discount waiting for you. Do you often find it difficult to find specific specialty ingredients for your home brew recipes? Well, listen to this. HopTech stocks 59 different grains to choose from, 39 varieties of pellet hops, and 8 kinds of whole leaf hops. And HopTech not only carries Y yeast and White Labs yeast for you, but also Fermentus, 04, 5, 6, 23, 33, and T58 Belgian yeast, plus Cooper's, Nottingham, and Windsor yeasts. Got your recipe ready to go? Pick up some great brew gear like new long and short sleeved shirts, games, and more. HopTech's new website is being updated every day with new items. If you don't see it, call the shop. They're open 6 days a week. BN Army and AHA members get a 10% discount, and active military personnel get 15% off. Visit HopTech.com today for great selection, great service, and a great discount. HopTech.com.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids, come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 9 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer and Brew Free or Die IPA throughout California and Alaska.
And now it's also available on draft at select accounts in the Bay Area.
So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in a can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack
can. Honey, what's wrong? Was the Saison oxidized?
Worse. Beer festival season is coming to an end. That's it for craft beer fun for the year.
My God, you're right.
What are we going to do?
Wait, it's a long shot, but Yes!
What?
The new Bay Area Craft Beer Festival is coming up October 22nd.
The one at Martinez Waterfront Park?
Yeah, with all that great food.
Live music?
And
craft beer!
More than 30 of the best breweries west of the Mississippi will be there.
I knew you loved me.
I do, but I may love the Bay Area Craft Beer Festival more.
Hey.
Kidding.
And I was just about to tell you your Saison is oxidized.
What?
Tickets for the Bay Area Craft Beer Festival are available online until October 19th at bayareacraftbeerfestival.com. All tickets are pre-sale only. None will be sold at the door, so get yours online right now. Great beer, fabulous food, and rockin' live music. Round out your beer fest season right this year at the Bay Area Craft Beer Festival.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of our 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Our Williams Belgian Pale Extract is mashed with pure Belgian two-row malt and a small percentage of Belgian wheat malt for an authentic Belgian character you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out our unique fermenters, 2.5-gallon kegs, paintball tank-based draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and much more. We even have our own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse our vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back.
Yes.
My favorite little segment, what you don't know about my friend John Palmer. He was once arrested for displaying a snake at a reptile show. True story. What you don't know about my friend John Palmer.
So the show we did back in May.
Yes.
Your what you didn't know back then.
Yeah, I know.
Was the John's middle name
Dillinger.
And I wanted to chime in on that, but I didn't know if I felt comfortable doing it or not.
Yeah.
That I heard that and it reminded me immediately of a Southern California Homebrewers Festival. It's probably 3 years ago now, and John and I are in a similar club, and I know John knows where this is going. So we're at the Southern California Homebrewers Festival. We're pouring beer, and this guy walks up and he's talking to John, and
it's a Dillinger.
And the guy, John's like, well, he either dropped his name or his name came up at some point. And the guy's like, you're John Palmer? He's like, yeah. He's like, no. He's like, yeah, I'm John Palmer. And they're talking, and
he says, John Dillinger Palmer?
He didn't believe him. And the guy was like quizzing him. He's like, you're not John Palmer. He's like, yeah. He's like, the guy says, what's Jamil's middle name? And John's like, I don't know, dipshit.
Oh.
And the guy says, you're not John Palmer, and walks away.
That's right. Because my friend would not say something like that, would he?
No.
Would he?
Unless he was blasted, yeah.
People don't know about John Palmer. You know, they read his book and think he's super technical.
They think
like
he's nice and
super upper crust.
No.
And he's just an asshole sometimes.
Yeah, what you don't know about my friend John Palmer.
Yeah, he's a human being. He's normal. He's just like you. Only he wrote a book.
Apparently, he claims to be far more moral than the rest of us.
I doubt that.
If you listen back to the first episode of the Going Pro.
Well, you need to...
Those morals, they're little mushrooms. They're all wrinkly, right?
Yeah, morals.
A wrinkle in my moral fiber.
Yeah. So just ask him about to display his snake at the next brew festival. There you go. What you don't know about my friend John Palmer. All right, so we were talking about something about choosing what kind of brew pub you open, or packaging breweries. Isn't that what I was going to talk about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, there you go. So when you're trying to decide on a packaging brewery, interesting thing, I was working our numbers last night, and we've been trying to increase production, and we've been doing draft only, just because it's very easy to get started with draft. You just need some kegs, a truck, and you drive around and say, here, you want a keg? And people buy the kegs, and, Well, and you also need to collect, like, their reseal permits and stuff like that. You actually need to get that before you can sell them beer. The problem is, if you go through those numbers, it's like anything. If you go to the store and you buy, 1 pound package of flour, you expect your per pound price to be higher than if you were to buy 50-pound sack of flour, right?
Yes.
Same thing happens in beer.
Yes.
You go and you sell a keg, people look at it as a 50-pound sack of flour, and they want kind of a discount for buying more at a time. And that's the way the pricing is generally set. Well, the problem with that is, in order to make any packaging brewery somewhat viable, if you're selling mainly keg beer, you've got to sell like 3,000 to 5,000 barrels of beer a year just to kind of cover the general costs of operating. That's like kind of your break even.
Right.
Now, if you're to put the packaged beer into smaller packages, you can actually charge more per ounce.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get as much per ounce of your beer as you can. If you can get a lot of pricing, if you're selling beer in, let's say, 6-packs, your net profit off of that is maybe a penny an ounce. So off a 6-pack of beer, you're making, maybe 72 cents. Probably not quite that much. It's a real cutthroat market. It's very difficult. That's why 6-packs of 12-ounce bottles, really difficult to make money. And if you're making that kind of money off of, a penny an ounce, you need to sell a lot of beer in order to be profitable. If you're selling something more like bombers, then you can get up into like the 10 cents an ounce range. If you're selling, certain things, canned beer tends to sell for a little less. You need to try and get your per ounce price up. And you do that by selling smaller packages of more interesting beers that you can get higher prices for. And, do what you can to control your costs. But the higher your per ounce price, the less beer you need to produce in order to break even. Same thing in a brew pub. Your per ounce price is quite high.
Yeah.
In a packaging brewery, especially when you go through a distributor, you can distribute locally yourself to a certain extent, and you can get more per ounce for your beer that way. Once you sign with a distributor, they take a cut. They need the money to do all the distribution for you, and your per ounce price drops again.
Right.
So, when you're doing, half barrel kegs of, beer that everybody else is making, IPA or, a wheat or something like that, you're down in the, 1-2 cents an ounce again.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to make a lot of money on that.
Right. And in the brew pub, where you need, as a production brewery or an AP, you need to be in the 3,000 to 5,000 barrels per year. As a brew pub, I need to be in making more than 500 to be profitable, because I don't have the overhead of the
500 barrels is about the break even for most brew pubs.
Right. But then you have the added headache of having to deal with a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole another headache to go with it.
Well, and that's one of the things I always thought. It's like, I think brew pubs are a great idea. I think you can be quite profitable on the food, on the beer. However, I don't have the time and the patience or the interest to run a restaurant. I don't want to get in the restaurant business. I want to get in the beer business. And so, that always concerns me. That would make me steer away. If I, when you have a choice, I think, what we're trying to do is kind of help give people guidance on when they have a choice. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. In your case, you came across a situation that, was attractive and a deal that really worked for you. Mm-hmm. You would rather do a, production brewery.
My choice was kind of made for me.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, I'll take this. That's
I'll do a production brewery later.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do a brew pub. And in my case, the alternating proprietorship. Yeah, would I rather have a brewery all by myself? Sure, but I don't have the extra, $1.5 million to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
In case you guys want to invest, then send checks to. We'll be looking. Yeah, we'll be looking. We'll be looking for money here coming up, and that's the thing. You have to kind of figure out what it is you want to do and what you can do financially. Mm-hmm. But if a deal comes up that is a good deal and pencils out to make fiscal sense, then that's the deal to take.
Right. On a quick side note, I know there's some note about we were talking a bit about nanos, and there's just I actually want to read something. Can I go sidetrack and actually read something?
Go ahead.
All right. So
we generally don't allow reading on the show because it shows up our listeners.
This is called
most of them can't.
Paddington Bear.
We can even direct people to there are websites out there where you can get all sorts of information and statistics on brewing, and Sound Brew, which is they actually sell used equipment. Sound Brew, whatever they sell equipment for.
Well, after you read that, I've got a website to read for you too.
Okay, but just a few quick things. I don't know. It seems like this probably shouldn't be taken out of context, but talking about just labor and such on.
Right.
And you do it. We'll just direct people there. Just go to soundbrew.com and then just /small HTML. Read it for yourself, especially points number 8, 9, and 10. It just talks about how when you're going small, if you're in the 3 to 4 barrel range, your labor and your cost of production.
Right.
If you're going to try to make a go at it, doing 500 barrels or 3,000 barrels or whatever it is, in order to hit those numbers at 3 barrels at a time,
right,
you're brewing it 7 days a week, which means that you would have to have 14 fermenters.
Right.
So the cost that you need to outlay in fermenters in order to make that happen is astronomical.
Well, you can use larger fermenters.
But so then we're upsizing.
Multiple brew into it.
Well, that's true. You could do that too.
But
then your cost is going up.
Right.
It all comes down to the cost.
The problem is, the numbers you got to work on that never go away are labor and
your ingredients.
And the space.
Right.
Ingredients, they scale directly with the amount of beer you're producing. So ingredients are never really a problem.
I don't think so. If I go to More Beer and I buy a sack of something, that's one price. But if I go directly to Crosby and Baker and buy that sack, I can get being a bigger person. Not a bigger person, but I mean being a bigger company, I can get
being the bigger man. No.
Having the LLC after you get the better price.
No, you could get a LLC and open a nano brewery. LLC is $100 on the internet.
Yeah,
and you could go to Country Malt or Brewer Supply, and they'll sell you a sack at a time.
Right.
And as a nano, you would probably buy.
But that sack
10
at a time, you're
something.
paying for shipping on that every single sack.
Right. If you need it shipped, then you're screwed.
Right.
That is really.
And where I'm at, I need everything shipped. So if I try doing a nano where I'm at, and I'm shipping a sack,
if you're with the rest of the humans. There's like one of these places you can just drive. You can just drive
I
there.
am in LA County.
Yeah, out in the desert of LA County. Yes. Well, and that's again something you need to take into account. I think if you are in a good metro area and you've got a good wholesaler supply real close to where. If you're spending an hour driving each way to go pick up ingredients, and you're really you're burning a lot of time again and fuel. If you're closer than that, then that might make sense. And you could go ahead, if you have the space, then you could order more. You could order a couple of pallets at a time. The problem is if you have that kind of space, it tends to cost more money. A lot of times people go, well, I'll do it in my garage, and that won't cost me anything. It's like, well, most places, especially in California, you can't do that.
Right.
There are some places where you can, and people are allowed to open breweries in their garages. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I know
if
one
you
guy
have
got
that,
away with it.
But again, that's not free. You have to look at those kind of costs. Those costs never go away. Labor and your space. Those costs really don't benefit from small breweries. Labor, it takes the same amount of labor generally to brew a barrel of beer as it does 1,000 barrels of beer. Which one's cheaper, in your per barrel cost breakdown. And you really need to look at that because that's expensive. And where a lot of nano brewery owners make the mistake is they think, well, I'll do it myself. That doesn't cost me anything. No, that's... there's a huge, your opportunity cost. You could be selling beer. You could do a lot of different things with your time. So you need to take that into account. But, I see the benefit, however, on the nano breweries where, it is a small entry fee to get in. That definitely attractive. If you're in a really small market, I know there's a couple of breweries where, that's all they want to do. They're in a town of 1,000 people. They serve that market. They sell all the beer they make. They're enjoying it, and I think they might do some food too. They're like a nano brew pub thing. That I could see making work, and you could probably generate enough revenue to pay one person's salary. So you are the owner, the brewer, everything, and you serve food. Then you might kind of make it work.
But then you can never go anywhere.
Right.
Then you're stuck at making what, $30,000 a year maybe.
Well, and there's people who would love to do that. For me, I want to make millions and fly around in private jets. So
well, yeah. How else are you gonna give me a lot of money for being handsome? You need to make it first. So
I probably have that in spare change in the car, coin tray in the car.
It's not exponential.
Right, so that's things to take into account. One of the things that people go for on nanos is it'll give them a chance to get things dialed in and figure out how to make the business work and get them exposure. I could see that as well.
I think one other aspect, Jamil, too, is that maybe starting out as a nano lets them get some name out there, get some name recognition. Right. Get some buzz going,
right?
With,
but you're only
capital outlay.
Yeah, the problem is
maybe
buzz
find some investors that way.
Your buzz is limited to the amount of people that really can drink your beer, and the less beer you produce, the less buzz you're going to produce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not 100%, but
yeah.
But I do think the investor part is a valid argument, because if you can say, look, with this, $3,000 investment, I've made this business that sells every drop of beer we can produce. It's generated, the profit margin on the beer we're producing is this. We believe this will scale up, and if we get a, $500,000 loan, we will buy this equipment and we will produce this amount of beer, and we will now be able to, generate this amount of revenue. And, I think something like that is valid. Mm-hmm. I think that, that could work. If you're in a situation where, there's no other way for you to get a loan, I think that would help tremendously. And it might actually drive down the cost of getting that money. Or, investors that will believe in you, and you never know. You might get somebody that, drinks your nano beer and says, why aren't you doing this on a bigger scale? I want to invest. That might work.
Mm-hmm. Also, the application process, the time and the headache that goes into starting a brewery is something that you have to account for as well. There are months and months and months. I mean, we are still awaiting our TTB license at this point, and I sent that in June.
Oh, I told them not to approve that.
I think they heard that. So I'm 4 months into the process. I've got a lease. I have $212,000 worth of equipment that showed up yesterday.
Takes time,
and I can't do anything with it. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing.
Well,
is,
I'd actually sleep with it, but
federal government's ratcheting down on the number of people that they're going to have working, and the number of licenses being applied for is skyrocketing. They're just swamped, and it's going to take time. The thing that you can do, and we'll get into this, Steve and I discussed this, we're going to do another show just on licensing and filling out your packet and the right things to do.
I thought you had a small packet.
Contrary to what Palmer says, I have a very large package.
I don't get it.
Of TTB paperwork.
Oh.
And speaking of large packages,
yeah,
we do have another sponsor, AdamandEve.com. Fellas, gals, Are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Been fantasizing about surprising your love with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com, and for limited time only, you get 50% off just about any item. That's not all. When you select your one item at 50% off, you will also receive 3 free adult VDs of your choosing for a little inspiration, plus a free extra gift so essential can't mention on the radio. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. So check out adamandeve.com today for a special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type JAMIL, Jamel, for the offer code upon checkout. You get the 3 free DVDs, a free extra. The cousin's doing me in.
Slow
free
down,
extra
baby.
gift.
Slow down.
It's over 8%.
Free DVDs.
Yeah, just rhythm.
Free
rhythm
extra gift and free shipping. Use the offer code JAMIL at adamandeve.com. And they also have a new mobile site. So if you're, needing things while you're mobile, you can pull out your smartphone and go to m.adameve.com, and you can do all the same thing on the mobile site, I assume, right?
Yeah,
So,
it's pretty cool.
ladies and gentlemen, start your browsers and finish listening to the show first, and then go to adamandeve.com and get yourself something.
Well, the beauty
special.
is,
Have some fun.
a lot of our listeners listen at work, so this is on their iPod, and they don't want to go to adamandeve.com at work on their browser.
They do it on the mobile.
Yeah, just take a smoke break or something like that. Go get on your phone, get a couple DVDs, and you're set, man.
Is that what you call it? And you go to the bathroom, close the door, and you're in there a long time? Is that a smoke break?
Well, it depends on who's there with me, Jamil. What?
All right. Well, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up our discussion of how to choose a type of brewery and any questions you might have in the chat. Back after this.
Yes.
When Blickman Engineering set out to design a great brewing stand, they knew it had to be strong, adaptable, and last for a lifetime. The top-tier brewing stand is now proudly available at BlickmanEngineering.com. It grows with your brewing skills and equipment. Start with 5-gallon coolers on its heavy-gauge stainless steel shelves. Then move all the way up to 30-gallon pots on the high-output burner tiers. Speaking of burners, the custom Blickman Engineering top-tier burners are extremely powerful, efficient, and amazingly quiet. They have safety stops to center your pot, and they'll last a lifetime and won't rust. The top-tier brewing stand allows virtually infinite combinations from traditional gravity systems to 2 tiers to completely horizontal. Configure your stand the way you want and have the freedom to change it at any time in the future. Your brewing stand should adapt with you, not force you to learn a new process. Visit BlickmanEngineering.com today to configure your top-tier brewing stand and to find a local Blickman retailer. You'll be surprised with all the flexible features and the competitive price. Start brewing with Blickman from the top tier.
In a world where everything has been lost.
What happened to the city? It's in ruins.
Only one man has the ancient knowledge to restore civilization.
I need a drink. Oh no, the liquor store's been ransacked.
You looking for beer, stranger? Boy, all the liquor got drunk up in the first 25 minutes of the apocalypse.
Wait, there's still some bottles over... Oh, no. Those are non-alcoholic beer.
I reckon you better stick to arrowroot tea and a desperate nomadic existence like the rest of us.
People, I'm a home brewer. I know how to make alcohol. It can't be done. Come with me if you want the beer. Okay, I'm gonna need some big plastic buckets.
He is the chosen one. The prophecies say that he's gonna get us wasted.
Someone start heating water. And
From the creators of Northern Brewer, the people who brought you $7.99 Brew Saver shipping, massive selection, and superior customer service comes the home brewer.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for any beer style. I want a Cicerone. The Cicerone certification program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Hi, I'm Jamel Zanishev, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Home Brewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your home brew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zanishev. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Writing a review of WLP 400.
What? You're reviewing yeast?
Yeah. White Labs has home brewer reviews of all their strains. Are you new to these interwebs? Check it out.
That's awesome.
White Labs, your source for great yeast, invites all brewers to visit whitelabs.com to read and write your own reviews of all their yeast strains. Get real-world tips and tricks from other brewers who have made the most of their vials and post your own experiences. It's another way White Labs brings you closer to the best yeast on the planet.
And send. There you go.
You misspelled flocculate, dude.
What? Mother...
White Labs. It's all in the vial. What does craft beer mean to you? Is it a delicious way to support your town's local brewer? Or perhaps it's the perfect beverage to pair with those delicious devils on horseback? Regardless of whether you're thinking of pints or pairings, pilsners or porters, craftbeer.com is the site where craft beer lovers come together to learn and share. Craftbeer.com is brought to you by the Brewers Association and celebrates the best of American craft beer and its brewers. Craftbeer.com is the best place to find craft beer events, recipes, great feature stories, the most up-to-date brewery listings, and resources for your next beer tasting or dinner, like style guidelines, pairing mats, and charts. Get the inside scoop on new beer releases and special events from today's craft beer insiders, and chime in to share your own knowledge, perfect pairings, road trips, recipes, and more. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
Nice.
Right.
We're back.
Okay. So, what was I talking about?
We were talking about your micro package.
On the air?
Tasting rooms also. I wanted to cover that. In the situation I'm in, I don't have a tasting room. I have my kegerator downstairs, and if you come by for a tour, you can have a taste. But I don't have a tasting room to sell people pints and stuff. And that's a huge,
it's like bonus
source of revenue. Yeah, because you're selling again, you get your per ounce price up much higher. So that's one thing you really want to have. In my alternating proprietorship, I just don't have that. When we move to our own building, we'll definitely have a tasting room. And
was that something you could have negotiated in, or is this
it's
federal or
difficult
state?
Because again, everything needs to be separate. You are a completely separate business. You're a completely separate brewery. You can't really share anything. You can lease stuff from somebody, but how do you lease a portion of their tasting room? How do you can't do it, hour by hour. You can't do it, 50-50.
Would you be able just to buy a tap?
That's what. Can't you
like
just
one line on one tower?
You know, who's serving it, who's collecting the money. You know, I think it becomes very iffy at that point.
So if you had your own serving tank with your own tap, with your own employee, and your own cash register,
that would probably work, I would think.
But then you'd lose your money on your employee and such.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Too bad you can't set up a kiosk in the mall.
Right. So, I think that's one thing. You know, if you're doing a production brewery, you want to have a tasting room. Everybody who does a production brewery says tasting room. Everybody who does a production brewery says you got a bottle or you got a can in order to make it work. So, very important things. Nano, micro. What else didn't we cover that we wanted to cover, Steve?
I can't think of anything.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty good. Can anybody in the chat think of things we haven't covered? JP?
Excuse me while I'm trying to get my drink on. Well, Bug Eater in the chat actually had a good point.
Boog.
I asked if there's any questions. He goes, no questions. These guys have confirmed all the reasons why I don't want to open my brewery. Too damned much work.
Right.
What do you think of that?
I agree. I agree. It's a lot of freaking work, and I'm with him. You know, and I appreciate that he's listening, even though it's something he don't want to do.
Sounds like it confirmed a lot of a lot of things for him.
It's a huge amount of work. I mean, and the wounds I have on me. We should do a show on brewery injuries, and just the amount of work I'm working. I work every day of the week.
Yeah,
about 16 hours a day, every day. And that's just to get this thing going, and it takes that kind of work. I mean, you're doing the similar thing, right, Steve?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the thick of it. We're not even open, and I'm pushing to get things open,
right?
Because I'm not making money at this point, so I really am pushing.
And you're doing all this with no revenue coming in, and then even once you do open, it's going to take you a year or more to start truly getting profitable. You got to get the people in on a regular basis. They got to drink a lot of the beer. You got to get all your beers dialed in. You got to have an array of beers so that you're, keeping people interested. Really takes, quite a bit.
We have a legitimate question though from Nine Toad Brewing
in the
chat.
Question or comment was legitimate.
Yeah, but it wasn't a question. I guess
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that. Bug, I apologize.
No.
I love you like a man loves a man. So this is from Nine Toad Brewing. He says, question from a homebrewer's perspective. Mm-hmm. What was the tipping point when you stopped telling your friends no and said, fuck it, I'm going to go pro?
Well, for me, it was, I came across a situation to do this alternating proprietorship. It essentially meant instead of getting into a brewery for $500,000, $750,000, $1.5 million, I got into a brewery for, 250 or, 100 and something. It's a huge difference. It's like a 10-to-1 type of deal, almost, or at least 5-to-1. Saves you a lot of money, and you're up and producing, in theory, cheaper and quicker.
What's interesting is you both, are microbrewery owners, but you have very different paths to take. And Sven, why don't you rap about yours real quick?
What do you rap about? What do you want to?
Well, what forced you into the decision?
You don't know what rap is?
Yeah, come on.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Urban Brothers.
How did you? You didn't go. Oh, I'm going to do this and go down the way. You kind of just fell into it, right?
I really did. Yeah, it got kind of thrown at me, and we discussed it a bit in the prior show that we did before.
Yeah, but no one listened.
I know that. Yeah. So yeah, real quickly, it really literally was handed to me. I was looking at doing just a nice beer bar, a gastropub. I looked at retail space, and one thing led to another. I'm meeting with a guy with an investment redevelopment group, and I took beer to the guy. He's like, "Oh, you make beer?" I'm like, "Why are we trying to do a bar? Why not just make beer?" He knew numbers. I knew the numbers, and it just worked out. And it was fortunate that the guy has like a philanthropic heart, and he really just wants to see other people succeed. So I'm putting money into this, my own money into this, but it's like you're saying, it's I'm getting it like 10-to-1.
Right.
I'm putting in a percentage, and my percentage of ownership is far, far greater
If
than my
you can
investment.
come across those kinds of deals, then they're deals worth having. Especially right now, the craft brewery market is on fire, and you can sell pretty much everything you can make.
Yeah.
You just need to go ahead and start making it. So right now, I'd encourage most people to go ahead and make that jump. If you know good beer and you can make good beer, and you have some financial ability to make it happen, then I'd just go ahead and do it. I think, especially if you're young, just do it. How many times do you get the chance to live your dream? So take it. And I can answer for you why John hasn't done it. He's lazy.
Yeah.
Shiftless. He answered that in the first show.
Limited.
But he does have high morals.
He's got better morals than the rest of us.
Well,
all right.
He's more into those carny tricks, like selling books and shit.
Yeah. So good show. I think if you're listening live, stick around. We're going to go ahead and get into kind of the sequence of things that you're going to need to do in order to open your brewery. What to tackle first. Some things that you may not have thought of. We're going to cover those. If you get a chance, check out BlickmanEngineering.com. Blickman with 2 N's. They're making some great products, and they pay for the show, so you don't have to. Check out the Brewing Network store. There's lots of goodies in there, shirts, hoodies, glasses, hats, books, all sorts of stuff. When you buy that stuff, it goes directly to the bottom line of the Brewing Network and helps keep this show on the air. Also, check out like BYO. There's a link to subscribe to BYO. When you do, half of that BYO subscription goes to the Brewing Network. So it's a real good deal for the Brewing Network, a real good deal for you because you get a quality magazine. And I don't know what happens to BYO. I guess they're just kind of taking in the shorts, but it's great for everybody else. And you might also see a link there for the American Homebrewers Association. That's another great organization. You can sign up for that. Same sort of deal. A portion of those proceeds go to the Brewing Network, and you get a great membership and a great organization that helps support homebrewers like you, me, and everybody else, and except JP, who I don't know what is going on with him.
Well, it's either stay here or clean up my cat box. So I come here.
Well, on that note, brew strong.
Brew strong, everybody.